So today we're talking about dream cars, and this is certainly one of my dream cars, the DB series. It's a lot of people's dream car. I think dream cars, what makes them special is they all have a story. And I think for Aston Martin, certainly part of the story is James Bond.
DB5 was probably the iconic James Bond car.
Goldfinger.
So you have that lineage of DB. I think what's important is the reason that James Bond drives our cars, and that's, of course, they're incredibly powerful, and he always needs a fast getaway. He has a great love of beauty, as we know. He appreciates the finer things in life, and he's a little bit naughty. All of those perfectly describe an Aston Martin. 600 horsepower in this car. The car is made of aluminum, bonded together. You've got some very, very clever aerodynamic features in here. For example, no spoiler. But the air is used as a virtual spoiler. So the air is basically being driven into this duct here.
I love that.
And then basically being sped up. And then exited here, so you have this virtual spoiler giving you downforce onto the back wheels, but of course no drag, so you get this perfect combination. And I think, you know, I can point out various things around the car which are you know, very innovative, and I think speak for themselves. There will always be a space for a small number of bespoke cars which express your personality. So perhaps you use your pod to go to work and back. But at the weekends you need your man cave or woman cave. And you need You need to be able to go out and do something that raises the heart rate. And there's nothing that raises the heart rate quite like driving an Aston Martin.
I totally agree.
I think it's at the heart of the company. You know, part of that, for the love of beautiful, includes the beautiful sound. And you know, yes, we added turbocharging, but it's still a 5.2 litre naturally aspirated engine underneath, and it sounds delightful, and that's part of what Aston is. You know, it's obviously something that you should dream of all your life. You know, and Aston's been around for 104 years, and I think a lot of people in their teens dream that one day they'll own an Aston. I think it's also important, if you think about the DB11, that 50 years from now, people that are 14 today will look back and they'll say, I remember that beautiful DB11. You know, those classic lines. So for me, what's important is that you have the timelessness within the way you execute the car, and why an Aston looks so beautiful is because we always conform to the rules of nature, the proportions of nature. Michelangelo's diagram with basically a third, 2/3, and if you look at this car, you can see those proportions everywhere. You can see a third, 2/3. If you look at the hood, compared to the body, it's a third, 2/3.
So it's been proven that there are certain proportions, you know, the haunches, the width, the low profile, that is just dreamy and sexy, and there's just no changing that.
No, absolutely. And you know, we what we perceive as sexy will always be sexy, and that's darn sexy. It's always been an important part of our DNA. Just think about the name Aston Martin. Where was it derived from? It was derived from the founder of the company, Mr. Martin, racing up Aston Hill, hence Aston Martin.
I was wondering what the Aston was, because the other guy's name was something like Van Bridge. It wasn't as sexy. I can see why they went with I felt bad for him, actually, because he doesn't get to be part of the legacy. But
no, but if you know, you
know. But he's on the internet.
Yes, exactly. The internet solves everything, doesn't it? But interestingly, why wasn't it Martin Aston? It was because the founders of the company basically thought it's a really good idea if you start with an A and you're the first name in the telephone directory, and that rings true even today. I mean, basically, you look at the itinerary of car companies are here, and there's Aston at the top of the list.
Nice.